Okay, I have notes. So let's talk about why this is all happening right now. And this couldn't have happened without Venezuela. I want to make that clear. So Venezuela had to be cut off from the world first before we could go in and do this. Um, so because here's why. The Venezuelan oil that reached the US replaced U.S. oil imports from the Gulf states, meaning the Persian Gulf, i.e., Saudi Arabia, and the others. Venezuelan oil was hoarded by the two trading houses, Trafigura and Vittel, that Trump sold the oil to, and they've sold it now for double the cost, I think mostly to India, from what I understand. Now, the case can be made that companies should invest in Venezuela because the Arab Gulf countries and Iraq are no longer safe or viable. Okay, so why though? Because, and this has been discussed for over a decade, that this was the plan, quote unquote, that you would bring Venezuelan oil back online. You would bring on Iranian oil back online to the world under U.S. auspices, both. And you would take out the Gulf states to make up, and it would kind of balance it out somewhat. Although, again, some of this is because there's too much energy going around, actually, despite what people say. And then also there's the other pieces to it. So here we go. Semiconductor and chip manufacturing needs to be reshored to the U.S. We also want the U.S. agricultural products sold to India. So that's why that's happening there. The U.S. wants the Asian companies to buy U.S. liquefied natural gas. I think I've discussed that before. And U.S. oil as well. And we want global dominance through AI and abundant energy. This is the U.S. position. Global dominance requires cheap U.S. energy domestically and expensive energy for competing countries. And that goes along with this morning. There's been rumors now that we will cut off U.S. exports, which means that we produce our own stuff. And whatever we do sell to the rest of the world, it becomes more expensive for them. If they get it at all. So, therefore, but to do this, we need control of all of the shipping choke points, including the Panama Canal, which has already been taken care of now with the transfer took place like 2 weeks ago. Now Hormuz, we're going to control that with the Navy and the insurance. The Red Sea, that's already happened with the Houthis and that whole thing a couple of years ago. And then the North Sea and Greenland. So that's why we needed Greenland, and that's why that whole drama happened back in January. It's only March, you guys, by the way. So then halting helium exports from the Gulf hurts Asian semiconductor and chip industry, and U.S. is now the largest helium producer, from what I can tell. Stopping fertilizer exports to India hurts India's egg sector. Discussed that in previous videos. Also, stopping liquefied natural gas exports to India from the Gulf means that India has to buy our stuff, which I discussed previously with the Venezuelan situation. I think India is the largest buyer now of that stuff. Methanol exports ceasing hurts industries in South Korea, China, and Japan. And this all increases reliance on U.S. oil and gas in Asia. So Venezuela now compensates, bringing Venezuela back online compensates for Iraq going offline a couple of days ago. It now appears that Saudi's going to be going offline too, which was always on the cards. The others, not so much. That was really specifically about getting the Saudis offline. So really, we do need the Iranians back online, I think. I'm not sure. Part of the plan might have changed. And so, again, U.S. now occupies Hormuz, at least indirectly, and controls the flow of energy to Asia. And the ultimate goal has been achieved of raising energy prices around the world. And again, I think that means, and then it becomes cheaper in the U.S. to produce and manufacture and build. So that's where we're at with that. That's why this is really happening. People don't really see the full picture. They still kind of think it's about Iran. But Iran is actually doing our dirty work for us. I'm sorry to have to say that. Trump's like the guy that starts the fight in the schoolyard and then runs away and leaves the other guys to fight for him. That's the U.S. right now. Thanks.